Hello, and it is still Unfiltered Conversation on Cleveland TV. I remain your host, Frankel Idemudia. All right, still letting you know that you should keep signing up on www.cleveland.com. Believe me, our main vision is to bridge the gap in the tourism sector in Africa for the greater development and growth of the continent. All right, we're still on a series of feedback from the just concluded FESTAC Africa 2023 destination Arusha. And then my guest this morning is Mr. Boniface Nyanga, who is the CEO Mawaifa. I hope I'm right there.
Yeah.
All right. He is also a Pan-African. All right. He is also a Pan-Africa entertainment journalist. You're welcome to the program, Mr.
Thank you
Boniface.
very much.
All right. Please, let's get to hear introduction. Who is Mr. Boniface Nyaga?
So, Boninyaga is a passionate Pan-Africanist based in Kenya. My background, just as you said, is in entertainment journalism. I've been writing entertainment and lifestyle journalism for Nation Media Group, which is one of our biggest media houses. Over the last few years, also, I've established my own boutique marketing, branding, marketing, and sales agency, which basically helps
Okay.
SMEs. Because one of the things that I discovered as I was in media is that the big companies,
Mm.
multinationals, have access to a lot of capacity when it comes to marketing and growing themselves. But some of our SMEs, especially some of our African SMEs, don't have access to the knowledge and the capacity to market themselves and to grow. And so that's why I started Mawaida. And so Mawaida, we do a lot in terms of helping SMEs, but because of our stratification, because marketing is about creativity, it's about creating art, and so that's why we've also been heavily invested in the arts. Because one of the things we realized, even as you're talking of tourism, music, fashion, movies are a good gateway for marketing destination. And so that's why we also got into the arts, and we're very, very heavily invested into the arts, whether it's managing, doing PR, doing marketing for the arts and for the creative economy.
All right, we're discussing the just concluded FESTAC Africa. All right, and I believe you are part of that event. How do you rate the event?
FESTAC is really exciting. It was, for me, it was a very exciting opportunity because really, just as we were sharing before we went online, there's a Pan-African renaissance. There's an African renaissance going on around the world. Everywhere, whenever I travel to Dubai, whenever I travel to Europe, the US, you will find the world is really, really interested in whatever Africa has to offer, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in technology, whether it's in terms of tourism. I mean, just a very simple thing that you see that right now. I mean, I work closely with because I've gone to Dubai a lot, and Dubai is actually looking at Africa not just as a destination but as a market. In the sense that as Africans, we've grown to the point of where other countries are marketing to us to tour them because our middle class has grown. So FESTAC, I would say, is part of that Pan-African move that we've seen, that the world is interested in Africa. And more so, Africans are now beginning to have a Pan-African perspective. And so it was very exciting to see Nigerians and South Africans organizers actually coming together to organize something in Arusha, Tanzania. And so it was very interesting to see collaborations of Africans coming together and looking for opportunities. And it was very exciting to see when it went way beyond the music. I mean, there were talks on an environment, there were talks on tech, fashion, there was business,
Mm.
there was so much that was going on. There was golf, sports, and so it was a complete conversation of not just
Mm.
the arts, but looking at the arts as a gateway for business.
Okay. All right. FESTAC Africa has come and it has gone. All right. Maybe we expect it next year or thereabout. But do you see events of this nature, okay, as bridging, as having a vision to bridge the business gap between Africa and other African countries and also the diaspora markets?
Yeah, I mean and a great great kudos to the organizers, Yinka, Grace, the whole team, Peha, from South Africa. They for them, this first pack is just a tip of the iceberg of all the other things that they do all year round to sort of connect
Mm,
Africa. Because Yinka, the chairman of FESTAC, really has a lot of Pan-African experience as an engineer. And so he comes off from that. And so I think it's just the beginning. FESTAC is one for FESTAC itself. I know there's already plans for the next one, and we really can't wait for the next one. And it was also exciting to have Lesonika, because Lesonika is one of the projects that, as Maoiza, we have been managing them, and we were part. Well, we played a big role in bringing them back. Lesonika is one of the greatest legendary bands of East Africa from the 1978. And so to have them play, and what was also interesting, especially for Lesonika, is that they were originally from Arusha, Tanzania, before traveling to Kenya, where they became Simba Onyika, and then moving to Nairobi, is where they became Lesonika. So to see that reunion of these legends going back, I think is just sort of theme was a good crowning jewel to the whole FESTAC experience. That FESTAC itself, even the history of FESTAC itself, being one of the oldest festivals in the continent, whose aim was to bridge the gap between Africans. And so definitely it's something that we saw during FESTAC, and it was really just a spark point for many, many great things to come.
mm. All right, so what is that distinctive take home you had at the encounter at the event? And then secondly, would you is there any way or any way you want them to improve on this edition when next one is coming?
Okay. I mean, definitely, of course, have more and more Africans join us. Definitely, that will be it's a dream of FESTAC. It's a dream of any Pan African movement, really, to see Africans coming together. So I would say just spread the word more so that more people get to know about it. For those of us who are there, to share, to spread the word and tell guys this amazing business opportunities that are available. Because we're talking of, and I think one of the things that FESTAC, and even me personally, one of the things, and that's why I think I resonate a lot with the FESTAC ideology, is because we should think of ourselves as Pan Africans. I'm from Kenya, and my company yes, is Kenyan, but there's absolutely nothing stopping us from, expanding and thinking of ourselves more African and reaching out, whatever it is that I have to offer. Because the same problems we're facing in Kenya, the same problems we're facing in Uganda, in Tanzania, in other places. And so even for other companies, my encouragement is think of yourself as a Pan-African company. Think of yourself as how do you expand to the rest of Africa, and think of FESTAC as that thing that helps you bridge. Because, like, for example, like African Tourism Board was there, and we had a huge presentation of with other with other players and other stakeholders in the travel industry across Africa. So whatever sector you're in, especially for the business people, think of yourself as a Pan-African company. Think of yourself as how you can expand to Pan-Africa. And then look at FESTAC as one of the platforms which can help you sort of springboard yourself and leapfrog yourself across Africa.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for the word of encouragement and also advice. I had a chat with some members of that event a few hours ago, and most of them said complained that the visa issue and there's some other things that challenges that almost mad the events and all that. Now, in organizing this kind of events, all right, whose responsibility do you really think that those challenges, for example, the visa that somebody made mention of, whose duty should it be to make sure that those things are handled in such a way that it doesn't affect this kind of organization?
Okay. I think that's an interesting question. I wasn't part of the organizers. My role there was really to bring Lesonika and also to assist in terms of marketing and branding and PR. However, I would say yes, that's a major issue that we need to look into. Not just in Tanzania, but I think it's a Pan-African challenge that our government really, really needs to be encouraged to just remove the boundaries. And because at the end of the day, right now, if I want a visa to Dubai, it will take me 24 hours. And all I have to do is do it on my phone. And so, in fact, the other day I was talking to someone who operates from Dubai, and they told me a very interesting thing. He told me it's much easier to access any African country from Dubai than it is to access an African country from an African country. Like for example, it's easier to move from Dubai to Kenya, Dubai to Tanzania, Dubai to Uganda than it is to move from, let's say, Kenya to Rwanda or Kenya to somewhere else. I mean, although I have to give a kudos to the East African community because right now we have the East African passport. Personally, we have an East African passport. So whenever I'm going to any East African country, I just walk in with my passport, stamp, walk through. No visa, no nothing. I wish we had that for all African countries. We don't, we shouldn't, there's absolutely no reason why we should be having visas. Visas do not help us in any way. They help other people. Because when we are divided, it's like there's an African proverb which says when two brothers fight, a stranger is one who inherits the land. And so we should think of ourselves as one country, and our government. It's a big encouragement to our government to really, really embrace Pan-Africanism in the same way. You know, some of our founding fathers, Kwame Nkrumah, and Nelson Mandela, and all those founding fathers of and they are the ones actually who started FESTAC because they thought of Africa as one. And so visa restrictions is one of those things that we should all push to just have them removed. So that FESTAC, of course, yes, it's true, FESTAC was hampered by that, but it's not just FESTAC that is hampered by that. When you restrict visas, you restrict movement of people, you restrict movement of goods and services, and you limit yourself to a single country.
All right, I didn't need to come in here on the economic benefits of tourism. All right, I think the reason why Africans are still not united so curtail so many excesses on this is simply because we don't really value what we call tourism. All right, but if we have to start working towards that, you discover that most of all these things we're trying to talk about, the challenges and all that, then we start taking precautions on how to advance this thing. Now, what do you think are the economic benefits of tourism to the African continent?
I think let's put it this way: what's the benefit? I'll expand that question wider. What's the benefit of tourism to any country? My perfect example is look at Dubai. I've had the privilege of working closely with them, and I've toured Dubai extensively. And I can tell you, these are guys who have oil, okay? But a few years into their strategic plan, they realized that our oil will run out. So, what's the one economic activity that we can engage in that will give us good foreign exchange? And they invested heavily on tourism in terms of making visas easy, facilities, and all that kind of a thing. You see, talk of foreign exchange, your foreign exchange is benefited when you have a high volume of tourists coming into your country. Because what happens is, for example, if it's Kenya, if you have a lot of tourists coming into Kenya, all of them will be demanding for the Kenya shilling. What happens? Our exchange rate becomes stronger. When our exchange rate becomes stronger, it means even imports, exports become cheaper. Mm-hmm. Especially if you're importing on the dollar. If the shilling is stronger against the dollar, automatically our prices go down. If the dollar is strong, our prices will go up. And so first of all, there's the economic, what I would call the fiscal benefit of your foreign exchange earner. Okay, the more foreign exchange earners you have, the better your exchange rate, and so the better your imports become cheaper. Two, of course, there's the massive economic benefits you get, because if you look at the whole supply chain, from the airlines to the hotels to even the young man or the old man who sells curios outside a hotel, okay, they'll benefit so much, because whenever someone walks into your country, they're definitely going to leave a substantial, I don't know what the figures are, but I mean, if someone travels to a country, average, you leave at least $2,000, $5,000 minimum. in that country to
Exactly.
spend. So all that is income, is economic benefit that is being generated and is being spread around. So tourism is one of those things, and my advice, honestly, is we should learn from Dubai because Dubai don't even have natural, tourist attractions. They have literally invented all the things that people go there to watch. But maybe this is where now you and me, Franca, come in the media as Pan African media, and I really thank Clemenad for this opportunity and for the platform that you're having, because people only go where they know,
Exactly.
where after they've been told about it. And so it's our job
Mm.
for us, especially for us who are in media, to really educate our audiences. In Kenya, personally, I've been doing that, trying to educate Kenyans on travel opportunities in Ghana, in Nigeria, South Africa, and so let's find out what's happening, and also for us to also it's inbound and outbound. So as you're looking for outbound from Europe, from all over the place, let's educate them on what are some of the tourist attractions here, but also let's educate fellow Africans on the attractions that are available in other African countries.
Mm. All right, can we just get to hear your Kenyan success story in terms of like trying to create awareness on the tourism sector?
Okay. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of effort, and I must say, over the years, I have to give credit. There's been some improvement in terms of how we brand Kenya. We have a couple of agencies that have been doing a lot around that, but definitely more really needs to be done in terms of packaging ourselves. And again, that's why I go back also to the media. We have a big role to play because the way we cover negative stories, um, we are very negative. I mean, there was a time when Obama was visiting Kenya, and the headlines of CNN was, Obama visits the hotbed of terror, which is Kenya, And let me tell you, Kenyans on Twitter, they barraged, they barraged CNN to the point where they had to apologize. And since then, I mean,
Mm.
we've had other instances of negative coverage. So these are some of the narratives. We really need, we have a big war of words to fight in terms of changing that narrative. Because I'm not saying Kenya is, Africa is 100% safe, but I mean, the people who are being shot in New York City, the people who are being shot in Los Angeles, unless some of the other countries like Qatar or places like those of Java
Exactly.
have very low crime rates. Some of those Western countries are there's a lot of violence going on there. But the way they
Exactly.
cover it as, oh, it's an unfortunate incident, that happened, it's an isolated incident. But in Africa, when something happens, I mean, like right now, I was following the war in Ukraine, it's hell down there and it's in Europe. But even the way they cover it in a very sanitary way. One small skirmish that happened I mean, you can't compare what is happening in Sudan. A few months ago, we had a bit of problems in Sudan. You cannot compare the scale of the war in Ukraine with the scale of the war in Sudan, but the way it was covered, it was, another African country goes to war. So we really
Mm.
need to fight that.
Right on, please. Go ahead, please. Go
Mm.
ahead.
Yes. So I'm saying that. So one of the things we really need to fight is that negative perspective of, oh, Africa is a backward country. Oh, because that's a lot of my friends, even colleagues, and networks from other countries, from Europe, from the US, from the Europe. Whenever they land into Kenya, even as the plane is just coming in, you look out and they're thinking, "Are you sure we're in Nairobi?" you know, you
Mhm.
sure this is not downtown New York or something? Because the narrative which they've been painted, and then when they land here and they see everything that's going on, they're like, in fact, a lot of expatriates who find work from Europe
Mm.
and other places, and they work here for a couple of years. Many of them don't even go back, because of how
But
beautiful.
I also think that even the Africans, we are not also helping ourselves because if you check the social media nowadays, what you find even Africans doing is trying to put on their own continent.
Mm.
All right. So if, for example, you put on your own continent, definitely others will not come and help you see one or good things about it.
Yeah,
You agree with me on that?
Exactly, exactly. And you see
So do
here,
you think there is really something that the Nigerian government can do to curtail the excesses on the social media platforms in terms of sensational journalism and trying to bring down the image of Africa?
I think all we have to do is, and especially these days, we have a beautiful thing called a mobile.
Yes.
Right now, you
But we don't post the beautiful things. We prefer to post the bad ones, the bad Africa.
the tool itself is beautiful. Now, how we use it, that's a whole different thing. Right now, you're in Spain. I'm in Kenya. Um, we have people watching us from across the world, and literally, we didn't use any expensive equipment. I just used my phone. Okay, and so the phone is a great asset. It's one of the greatest communication tools created in by man. You know, this is a whole. It's a whole media house. Your phone, your mobile phone is a media house. And so,
Mm.
not just government, because I think sometimes also as Africans, we tend to depend too much on the government. And who is the government?
The
Yeah, the
government.
government. Okay. We vote them in, we pay them through our taxes. So we also have a role to play. So ourselves as media houses, because every single person who has a phone is a media house. Okay. So every single African, every single person listening to has a phone, okay, and you're probably watching me on your phone. So my question is, are you educating yourself, or and you have access to information? There's massive amounts of information out there
Phone.
about Africa and about what Africa has to offer. Are you educating yourself on that, and are you feeding on that? Because you see, the way our minds work, garbage in, garbage out. So if you're feeling yourself with content from all those media houses which are telling you Africa is useless, Africa is useless, you'll find yourself regurgitating the same information. So my challenge to all our fellow Africans is educate yourself. Don't just take the garbage that is put out there. Educate yourself, do research. I mean, we are in the age of technology. There's artificial intelligence that can give you the history of anything you want. So educate yourself about the greatness. And so for the government of Nigeria, I think, yeah, just in fact, you don't even have to do much.
Let's say the entire Africa, not just Nigeria, Africa.
Exactly. So in fact, governments don't even have to do much. All they have to do is just encourage the students to go take their phones and market their country. You know.
Mm.
So if we do that, and also maybe all of us, just the only thing we need to do is encourage people to understand the power of communication. That you may be frustrated with the government, yes, but you putting out, just like you said, putting out that negative information and putting out that frustration that you have is creating a negative image out there. And it wasn't your intention to create a negative image, but because they say the pen is mightier than the gun. And as a communication expert myself, one of the things I always tell my team is that every word is a bullet. And so be cautious where you're aiming. Okay. So aim it correctly, because every word is a bullet. So I think what governments need to do is sensitize their people on the power that they do have, market that promotes their country, and also how then can they use their people, and not just regular people, but also celebrities, the arts, the music, movies, fashion. How can we use all that to attract more travelers?
Service. All right. Now, you are the CEO of my Wi-Fi company. What are you into? What is it all about? What are your aims? Your main focus, the main focus of the company?
Okay. Mawaidha is a Swahili word for advice.
Sorry
And
for what?
advice.
Oh, okay.
So advice, wisdom. So Mawaidha is advice, wisdom, you know. And actually our logo, if you look at our logo, is the Iwak, which is the West African badge for wisdom. So that should really show you what we're about. It's all about African solutions to African problems. So one of the things I realized as I was coming up in the communication space and in the media space is that one of the biggest challenges our SMEs have, and the reason why many of them don't scale up is because they're using ideas from other places. Some principles are the same, but application is different. So Mawaida came in to fill that gap, to help SMEs find localized solutions in branding, marketing, and sales, and also communication. And so Mawaida is all about advice. It's all about strategy and really helping you what we call top of the tree consultancy. Because you know when you're under the tree, you're so busy taking care of the tree that you don't see there's an elephant that is coming that's going to knock out your whole tree. So a lot of our companies are left behind because they are so busy, with the day-to-day, activities that they don't look up to see what's happening out there. And right now we're talking of a few years ago we were talking of the digital revolution. Now you're talking about artificial intelligence.
Exactly.
And so our African SMEs need to really have their head out so that they can see what's coming, what's happening, and how can we get to the next level. So that's what we do. We do a lot of branding, a lot of marketing. Recently, we've also started doing a lot of market entry. So we help either African countries get into other African countries, or companies in outside Africa trying to get into Africa. So we're really right now we are on a huge Pan African move to help either African countries which are looking to expand Pan African, or global companies which are looking to break into the African market, because a lot of companies actually struggle to understand Africa, because many of them it's ironical. Many of them think we are the same, so they come in with a sense strategy which doesn't work. So that's really one of the things that we've been pushing for over the last couple of years.
All right. So, what strategy do you think the media should employ, all right, so create the necessary image, create the necessary good image we're talking about to the world? What strategy should the media employ?
Okay. I think it is being sensitive, because you see the media has two roles. One is to put government in check, which we should, but two is also to inform, but also to market. So sometimes in trying to keep government on check, we as the media sometimes push that envelope a bit too hard, to the point where we cover too much negative news. And I think also sometimes we're not able to tell the difference between the government and the country. The government of Kenya is not the country of Kenya. Okay, the government of Kenya is, first of all, there is the government of Kenya, and then there is the administration of the current president. Those are three different entities. And so sometimes, because you don't agree with the administration of the day, you end up being excessively harsh. And so you paint a very bad image of the government of Kenya, and you paint a bad image of Kenya, to the point where now people who are trying to market it, don't do a very good, they're faced with a lot of opposition. So I think as the media, we need to be a bit more sensitive to find, okay, how do we, trend that very thin line of fine, keep the government in check, inform the public, but also, where possible, present stories which are talking of the different places. Because if you look at somewhere like Kenya, Kenya is a beautiful country. I don't know. I mean, I'm yet to be challenged of a country where you can find really beautiful beaches and really beautiful inland facilities all at once. We have the lake, Lake Naivasha, Lake Nakuru. We have one of the seven wonders of the world, which is Masai Mara. See, we have beautiful beaches in Kilifi. Mount Kenya. If you want to go hiking, so literally, it's so much to do. But unfortunately, it doesn't get a lot of airtime. If there's a riot in Kibera, that's one which is the headline. But if there's a documentary on, let's say, climbing Mount Kenya, it will be put, behind there.
Below the page.
Exactly. So those are the things that
Seriously.
that side. Yeah.
Mm. I think the media really has a lot to do in this regard, and not just the media alone, the people themselves, and even the government. But let's just hope we all start having wisdom and then start thinking of one or two ways to curtail these effects. But let me ask of your relationship with Les Wayinka.
Mm.
Lewayinka, right? Am I right?
Yes, yes, yes. So let's
Yeah,
what
your record shows you have one or two relationships with, is it a company or what is it? So let's just get to hear your experience, your relationship with it.
okay. So let's what is a legendary band. They are like the Baba Mal. They are in the same era as Baba Mal, Fela Kuti. I call them the Beatles of East Africa. Really, they're one of the legendary bands in East Africa.
Mm.
Their songs, they were started in 1978. Their songs are so iconic that to date, even current artists, just the other day, a few weeks ago, less than a month ago, there was a song which was released, and they borrowed the intro of Cinema Cosa. And
Okay.
so Les Sonika is one of those bands that have influenced East African music for centuries and for
Okay.
decades, I would say. So and so for us, it was really really exciting to be part of the team that brought them back. So for us, we approached it from a very like I said, we had a marketing agency, so we approached them as a product that was doing re-entry. We did our research. We've been working with them for the last 1 year, just helping branding, the marketing, and also helping them as much as they're a legendary band. They have to adhere to the digital world, and so we've been helping them also to adapt to the new digital world. And I'm really happy that now they're really back. After 24 years of silence, they're back, and of the last 1 year, it's been amazing. It's been incredible. And what is incredible is even seeing, because you see that people who have never seen them perform. Many people, especially in East Africa and the larger African continent, have had the music for years and years and years. Because, like, to be honest, if you're a band that is playing in any venue in East Africa, you will
Mm.
not play a 2 hour set without playing a electronic song. You'll have to play
Mm.
a Makossa, an Afro, Amigo, So it's been exciting seeing really young people, even as young as 30 years old. For me, I think that's the most exciting part. Seeing really young, 30-year-old and below, just seeing, because they grew up listening to this music. Their parents used to listen to this music. They've grown up also now love that music, but they've never seen these guys perform live on stage. So even in Arusha, FESTAC, that was the first time also for a lot of people to see them. And man, guys were just amazed. There's one very old man. He's been in music industry for 35 years. He literally cried when he watched Rashonika perform for the first time, because he's been playing their songs for 35 years. And so for the first time, he's seeing them perform. And another very exciting part is even people who have never heard Lesonita, the first time they hear them, we've played every venue, every event we have. We have Nigerians, South Africans, Ethiopians, Europeans, of anybody. I give you 5 songs, they'll be on the stage. They've never heard them, they don't even know who's playing. But after 5 songs, they're on the stage playing, because the level of musicianship that they used to have in those days is just on a whole new level. In fact, I understand that Lesonika songs are actually in the BBC Museum, and they're also in the
Mm.
Smithsonian Museum, because they study them in a lot of universities in the West. So for me, it's been exciting to see the reuniting of old fans and getting to see Lesonika for the first time, and also the new fans and the new generation who are now discovering this music, just absolutely falling in love with them. And
All
so,
right. So, yeah. All right. So, are there plans to resurrect other bands of that nature and also to impact the lives of maybe other upcoming artists?
yes,
Do you
actually,
have that plan?
yes, and sometimes it's not even. I wouldn't say we have a plan. Sometimes things happen. When you do something, when someone sees you do something, you inspire them to do more. Because it's interesting. You'll find these days actually our top festivals have approached before we would have like a piano festival, or we have festivals which only focus on one age group. Now we're having all the festivals are doing that mixture. So you'll find some of the older bands like Maroon Commandos, and also the Mushrooms have started also getting a lot of booking ever since the Lesonica came back, and also the Mushrooms also did that comeback. And so it's really important for the music industry to have that, because those that's our roots. Okay. And so we need those we need those legends, because what they do is they give us a root, they give us a source of inspiration and our own identity. So that and it's one of the things I would say Nigerians have really mastered, because if you look at Burna Boy is actually a copy paste of Fela Kuti. It's really fast,
Exactly.
you know. And one of the reasons that has made him to develop a unique sound is because he's tapping into his culture, his tradition, and his well-established root, and then now adding a little bit of a new flavor. So I think for me, it's been exciting to see Kenyans embrace some of the legendary musicians. And so, yes, personally, as an agency, as a company, it's something we're looking to bring back, and not just that older generation. There's also a generation of like the 2000s, some people who are a bit quiet. So of course not right now, because right now we are focusing more on less on and just taking them global one. But it's definitely something we will be looking at in future, because these are our gems, and there is it's Bob Marley who said, "In this great future, you can't forget your past." Mm.
All right, thank you so much. Now, promoting tourism via entertainment. What is your take on that?
It's almost a no-brainer. It's so obvious that I'm not even sure why. It's such an obvious thing. It's like saying, "Are you going to have lunch at 12 o'clock?" It's
Wow.
so obvious that music and entertainment is such a gateway for marketing. And so it's something that we should really embrace, because you see, we're talking of Burna Boy, we're talking of Fela Kuti. And so anybody who's not, the many people who've never been to Nigeria, but they've definitely listened to Burna Boy. And they know Burna Boy and they follow him, all that kind of a thing. So he would be such an ideal icon for, say, the Nigerian government to use to promote. Yes. And the same thing, because you see, an artist, a musician, a sports person, a fashion designer will penetrate way further than say an airline or a government agency in charge of tourism, because they have the audience, they have the eyeballs, they have the audience, and they have the trust of the people. So, for example, someone like some of our big actors like Lupita Nyong'o, who's an award winner, an Oscar award winner.
Okay.
If she says, for example, the Kenyan government was able to engage her, and she says she's coming to Kenya for an event, and she's inviting all her fans to come, chances are, two, three loads of airplanes will come with her. Okay, as opposed to you as the tourism board of Kenya going to set up a stand in New York, and the entry point won't be that much. So the arts, and all you have to do is just study Coca-Cola, study all these big companies, all these big marketing agencies. There's a reason why they use influencers. There's a reason why they use the celebrities. And these days, in fact, influencers, there's so many types of celebrities. We have online influencers, we have content creators who are doing great things online. And by the way, tourism boards are beginning to style up on that. And I have to give kudos to especially the South African Tourism Board. They are really tapped into that. Every so often, they invite media and influencers to go visit South Africa. So those are the people who will then send back the message. So I would encourage all African tourism boards, and even the African tourism board itself, to organize those farm trips, the familiarization trips, because those things have such a huge impact, huge, long-term impact. Because what happens is the media people come, they cover those stories and send them back to media, to mainstream media. And then also the influencers come and they post. And so, I mean, if you have to invest, I know several tourism boards like Dubai is investing a lot in content creators and them to help them put together some of those strategies and some of those engagements where they're getting Kenyan influencers to go to Dubai and then they showcase that. So there's absolutely no reason why African tourism boards cannot embrace that.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Nyanga. I'd like you to leave us with a message, a last word from Mayatha, okay, to the African continent.
My message from Mawaida is one: we are Pan African. And anything you're doing in Djibouti, you can do it in Dakar. Anything you're doing in Accra, you can do it in Abuja. Anything you're doing in Abuja, you can do it in Nairobi. And so let us think of ourselves as Pan African, and let's seek opportunities and let's seek collaborations, because all it takes is for Africans to unite. And I really thank you, Clevenard, for this opportunity, because this is how we connect. Let's connect. So my advice is, guys, let's connect. Let's create Pan African platforms, and let's do Pan African business.
Thank you so much. All right, thank you so much once again for being our guest on this program this afternoon.
Thank you, Franca.
All right, audience, that's what you draw the curtain for today. It's been almost an hour interview with the entertainment journalist, and I hope you did get one or two things from what we've discussed so far. All right, the next edition we will come your way with another guest on this program. I remain Franca, the media, to have a blessed day. Bye.